And hello everyone, welcome back to a new video. So, as part of the Delphi course, where is my... I unfortunately don't have any access to Microsoft Access. So, instead I'm going to use the LibreOffice database manager. Okay, so this basically is where you begin if you create a database. It looks fairly the same in both Microsoft Access and here. Basically, you have your fields, then yeah, I don't care. Okay, basically you have your fields, your field type, and your description. And I'm just gonna explain what it is. So, in a normal table, like let's open up our database here. Alright, so here we have a basic example of a database. Now let's open up this one again. So basically a field is just this. This is a field. Like this is the artist field, all the artists goes in here and so this will be artists, just spelled correctly. Anyway, so all the artists, and then you'll have your CD name and so on and so forth. Now, the thing I actually want to talk about is this right here. So basically, you get different types of data types in Delphi, right? You get integers, you get strings, you get booleans, you get floating point values, also known as doubles, and so on and so forth. So basically, it's the same thing kind of here. So let's use an example such as, let's see, name, someone's name. Now, if you click on this, it will give you a bunch of options here. I'm only going to cover the ones you'll most likely see. So this, as it automatically gives you, this would be a text or a bar chart. And right there. And then let's say here you have age. Then here, this would use a number or an integer. In Access, you only have one specific or maybe two of these. But here you have a bunch of, you have tiny int, you have big int, you have number, you have integer, but it wouldn't be decimal, it wouldn't be string, it would be a number. So this would be integer. Now, what if he's male or female, like gender? Now, this would be a text. But here they give you a specific one for char, like in Delphi, char is one character. So where you can just go M or F. But since we are more looking towards the Microsoft Access side, we would usually choose text. And then you'll change the length to 1. So it can only be M or F. Now that's just the basics of that. And then what if, let's say they could have HIV, for example. So if they're HIV positive, it would say yes. If you're not, it would say no. That would be a boolean. So in database management systems such as Access or LibreOffice Base, you have a yes or no column, basically true or false. And basically if they have HIV plus or positive, in this scenario it would be yes, otherwise it would be no. And then maybe, what about their phone number? Right, well, what about that? Well, believe it or not, but phone number won't be a number, decimal or integer. It would be a text, or not that text, this text. It would be text, because when a number starts at 0, for example, or at plus, you cannot start a number at plus 27, for example, or 075. You can't do that, because 0 would get removed if it's a number, and plus is not a valid number. So whenever you want to use a phone number, remember it's always text. And then you get like date of birth. Now basically here, this should just be date. It has a specific part right here. Now, I didn't want to go and explain everything on here. I just want to give you a few examples so I can use them. Because once we get to manipulating databases, this comes in handy, and we'll get more into working with databases. We'll get more into explaining more about them. But for right now, what you need to know is that each field type has a specific type of value. For example, these two would be numbers or integers. These would all be strings. And maybe let's list out TBL owner. And you see this is a string. This is a primary key. Now I'm going to link a video in the description which I want you to watch if you want to learn more about databases before we get to it. So there's something we call a primary key, and it would be something like ID. Now something like your ID you can almost say is special. It's not to say somebody else would have your ID number, that is. It's kind of the same thing here. And we can go something like integer and auto value yes. Now this is a primary key, which basically makes this no other number on or nothing else here can have the same primary key. Like this GABA, nobody else can have the owner ID of 1. Nobody else here. Because primary key is to give each and every row their very own like little identifier, and that is basically what the primary key does. It identifies each and every row. A good idea to use like in the SQL, for example. You don't need to know it, but you can go where owner ID is more than 10 and less than 20. There we go. So basically it just helps you identify them, and you can then edit them or manipulate them with this command. And we'll get to using SQL in Delphi at a later stage. But basically it's just to get there, because people can have the same name or the same surname, but they cannot have the same ID and the same year. They may have the same number, they may share the same phone, or they may be in the same class and grade, or have the same email address, but or even the same birthday, but they can't have the same ID. And that's basically what the primary key does. It just gives you something to differentiate. Like, what if everything here is the same except for the primary key? You'll be able to use the primary key to know which one is which. Anyways, so what I want to just say to you guys is that there are different types of data values, data types here, which you can use and manipulate. And we are going to use this in future tutorials to edit and add and everything to a database. So yeah, just know for now that you have text, integers, yes, no, or boolean, date, and also you have decimal point values, which are also known as real. So yeah, these are the main ones you need to know about. The other ones aren't that important just yet, but these are the ones we're going to be working with the most. Thank you for watching. Hope you all learned something new, and see you all in the next video.